So I went to India for the first time in 1989. And I got to tell you, that first trip of mine, it rocked my world. It really did. I was emotionally overwhelmed for 3.5, 4 weeks. Seemed like every day something happened. I'd never seen it before. I'd never felt it before. It was amazing. And although I had personally grown up right at the U.S.-Mexico border, south of San Diego, where I was from, I honestly, I had never, ever seen poverty quite like that. It was just something that I had never experienced at all. And over my lifetime, I have had the privilege of traveling across the Mexico-U.S. border literally hundreds of times, seeing poverty and people in all sorts of ways. I've been to India multiple times and experienced that. And each time that I've gone, I've had different experiences, but still overwhelming each time I've gone. I've had the privilege of going to the Dominican Republic. I spent a week doing a youth conference in Mexico City and traveling all around there. I took a group of young people to the Philippines years ago for a couple of weeks. And every time I have traveled outside the country, I have been humbled by what I've seen. Always learning. But I'll tell you, I think the older that I have gotten, the more the shock has worn off. I seem to travel more comfortably into other cultures and because I've seen things. And when I see them again, maybe the newness has worn off a little bit. In 2015, people here at North Point would probably remember that. I went back to India for the first time in a number of years. But I got to tell you, that time was different. I mean, it was really different. That trip, something clicked for me in a brand new way. That time, the experience, the impact, the lessons, it was all very, very different. And it kind of, it happened maybe in waves, but certainly it was a cumulative effect of that trip. Now, I want you to think about this, and I'll see if I can give you a mental picture of what I am thinking. The United States, geographically speaking, the United States is about 3,000 miles wide, maybe not quite that much on height, but it's a huge landmass. And there are, at least by the most recent census, there are over 330 million people who live here in our country. And so I want you to imagine this. Imagine if we were able to split the country into thirds. You know, like the west third and the center third and the eastern third. And so take just 1/3 of that, and imagine cramming, literally cramming all of the people who live in Boston, LA, New York City, Philadelphia, Detroit, Chicago, Atlanta, Indianapolis, Miami, Phoenix, Washington, D.C., not to mention the four biggest cities in the state of Texas, Dallas and San Antonio and Austin and Houston. If we were to take all of those people and cram them into that 1/3, that would be another billion people. It would just be, it would be this massive amount of people that would be, not another billion, but it would total well over a billion people that would be put in that landmass in 1/3 of our country. Now, imagine that entire group of people, maybe numbering nearly 1.5 billion people in 1/3 of the landmass of the United States. That would be how many people live in the entire country of India. The entire country of India is about 1/3 the landmass of the United States. And take India with 1.4 billion people that live there, and add to it an almost unspeakable water crisis across the country, and utilities crisis, and health crisis, and jobs, and housing, and the infrastructure and the economy that is so different from ours. All of the crises that is over there, not to mention the toll that all of it takes on family and children and marriage and education, and the poverty that is rampant throughout a majority of the country. Just imagine that. And that is India. That is India. I got to tell you, back in 2015, I had never really grasped the enormity of India and just the internal problems that they face as a country. I really just saw people, and in this really small dot in the country where I went. And it really wasn't until I came back from that trip that I started looking at world maps in a different way and saw India in a different way. Now here's what's even crazier. You take the country of India and you realize that there are 29 states in the country of India. You know how we have 50 in our country. They have 29. But each one of those states in India has a completely, totally different culture. They have different traditions. They have different languages. You can grow up on this city street, and 15 yards across the street, they talk a different language because they live in a different state. Having virtually nothing in common sometimes. Not to mention a national religion, Hinduism, that has 1 million gods, and nobody really understands it. That's India. Now, I don't mean, I'm not trying to be derogatory. That is their country, and they are as proud of India and the various states as we are of our country and the states that we live in. But it is overwhelming. The state is overwhelming. The obstacles that they face just to communicate, just to live side by side, and to live in relative health and a decent economy. So back in 2015, on that trip, I was working with the church that we partner with over there, and I was in a group. It was on a Sunday afternoon. It wasn't a special meeting of any kind, but I got to be part of it, and they brought together about 15 people, 15, 20 people, leaders in their church, And it's a church of maybe 100 people, I would imagine, in the overall city of Chennai, which numbers about 20 million people just in that one city. And they sat around for 2 or 3 hours that day, and I got to be a visitor sitting in with them. And they sat there and discussed their role, their church's role, their church of 100 people, their role in impacting their country, not their community and their country, reaching the diversity of the people in their country with the message of Jesus Christ. And they talked about how to reach their Hindu neighbors with the love of Christ, how to keep, and this was a fascinating part of the discussion, how to keep their church from being a stumbling block for people to come to know Jesus in this country of such economic and cultural and religious diversity. They were literally discussing, a group of 15 or 20 of them were literally discussing how to impact a nation of 1.5 billion people. That was the enormity of their discussion. I was blown away at their vision. I was blown away at their commitment. And talk about being humbled to be seated in their presence. And they talked about the impossibility of how it felt impossible for their little group, their little gathering of people, to make some kind of difference in this it really is about 1.4 billion people, and well over 1 billion of those people claiming to be Hindus. And it was so interesting because their conclusion was both simple and profound, and you've heard it before. Their conclusion was, how do you make a difference in that kind of a world? One person at a time. They said it. They said it out loud, one at a time. But I got to tell you, they believed so very much in the transforming power of the love of God. They had seen and experienced in their own lives the change that knowing Jesus had brought to them and to their families. And I got to tell you, they desperately wanted their neighbors to have that same experience. I mean, they talked as if it were life and death to them. And I saw heart, and I saw passion and genuine concern for people. The kind of love and concern that I imagine Jesus himself had for the people that he walked with. And so here was the lasting impression on my heart, having been there during that time. They saw that their lives really counted for something. They saw that their church family really counted for something that was much bigger than simply gathering together once a week to listen to somebody talk and sing a few songs. And I really remember nearly the whole time that I was there thinking, what do we think about here in our country, here in our neighborhood, here in our community, here at our church at North Point? You know, next week I'm going to give my yearly Easter message that Jesus died and rose again on the third day. And in that action gave us new life. He gave that to us. That's this very real experience that I hope you have experienced. And I know that so many of us here have experienced likewise. So as I was thinking about today, I went into my computer today and I looked at the songs that Buzzy had picked out for us to sing on Sunday morning this week. And I was just looking at them and being reminded of the words and so forth. And the lyrics of one of the songs that we are going to sing this week really, really stuck out to me. You can look at them on the screen right now below me. It says, "There's no space that His love can't reach. There's no place that we can't find peace. There's no end to amazing grace. Take me in with your arms spread wide. Take me in like an orphan child. Never let go, never leave my side. I'm holding on to you." That's a song we have sung here many times. But I guess I want to ask you a question, a kind of a serious question, is do you really believe those words? Has the life and death and resurrection of Jesus made such an impact on your heart, on your life? Has the presence of Jesus made such a change inside of you that you really, really want others to know about Him? Can you say with deep conviction that there is no space that His love can't reach? Do you really believe that His love can reach inside the secret places of your life and change those damaged places? Does he have the power to come in and make you a different person? Can His love reach into your life where your decisions are made, where your values are formed, where your commitments are forged? Can he come in, make a difference there? Can you really say with conviction that there is no place that we can't find peace? Do you really believe that the sin of your past or the sins of others, do you really believe that they can be forgiven? Do you really believe that you can be set free from the bondage that your past has on you? That hope can be restored, that anger can be eliminated, that forgiveness can be offered, and kindness can be lived out daily. Is that a conviction of yours? Do you fully believe that there is no end to His amazing grace and mercy, and that He will never let go of you, never ever leave your side, no matter what you are going through? Are you holding on? Are you holding on to Him? Or are these simply lyrics to a cool song that sounds good and makes you feel good? Or are they really true in your life? Do they define what gives us meaning and purpose? And really, I guess at the heart of all of it, do you care? Do you really care that others would come to know Jesus as you have? It's really a question all of us need to face. So I guess as we share in the Lord's Supper again this week, as we remember the life and death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And in the believing in the bread and the juice of his presence right here and right now. I guess I want to read these simple words. They're going to appear on the bottom of the screen. I want to read them. And it's my prayer that these words will be true and reflected in the way that we live our lives, not just in the coming weeks, but throughout our entire lives. 1 John chapter 4, verse 9 says these words, "This is how God showed his love among us. He sent his one and only Son into the world that we might live through him." So how about if we get on with the business of living through and for him, for the good of others this week. Till next time, see you.
This little light